First, we reach the cell wall. The cell wall is the strong outer layer surrounding the plant cell. It is mainly made of cellulose and gives the cell its shape, strength, and protection. Think of it like the protective walls of a building. Without the cell wall, a plant cell would be much more vulnerable to physical damage. But the cell wall does more than simply protect the cell. It also helps the plant maintain its structure, allowing stems, leaves, and other parts of the plant to remain firm. And unlike an animal cell, a plant cell has this strong external wall. But just inside it is another extremely important structure. This is the plasma membrane. While the cell wall provides strength, the plasma membrane controls what enters and leaves the cell. It acts like a highly selective security system. Water, nutrients, ions, and other molecules must pass through this membrane in carefully controlled ways. The membrane is flexible and constantly interacting with the environment around the cell. So, the cell wall is the protective barrier, while the plasma membrane is the intelligent gatekeeper. Now let's remove the surrounding structures and look inside. Here we find the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is a jelly-like environment where many cellular structures are suspended. It provides the space where numerous chemical reactions take place. Inside this busy environment, molecules are constantly moving, reacting, and being transported. It may look simple in an illustration, but at the microscopic level, the cytoplasm is incredibly active. At the center of our exploded cell is one of its most important structures, the nucleus. The nucleus contains the cell's DNA. DNA carries the genetic instructions that tell the cell how to function, grow, and reproduce. You can think of the nucleus as the cell's command center. Whenever the cell needs to produce a particular protein or respond to a change in its environment, genetic information stored in the DNA helps guide the process. But inside the nucleus, there is another specialized structure. This small, dense region is called the nucleolus. The nucleolus is involved in producing components that become ribosomes. Ribosomes are essential because they build proteins. So, although the nucleolus is much smaller than the nucleus itself, it plays a critical role in preparing the machinery needed for protein production. And now, let's follow those ribosomes. These tiny structures are ribosomes. Their main job is to build proteins according to instructions provided by messenger RNA. Proteins are essential for almost everything a cell does. They can form structural components, enzymes, transport proteins, and many other molecules. Some ribosomes float freely in the cytoplasm. Others attach themselves to the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And that brings us to another fascinating part of the cell. This folded network is the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or rough ER. It is called rough because ribosomes are attached to its surface. The rough ER helps produce and process many proteins, especially proteins that are destined for secretion, membranes, or certain cellular compartments. Imagine it as a cellular manufacturing and processing network. Newly produced proteins can enter the ER and begin their journey through the cell. But not all cellular production involves proteins. This is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Unlike the rough ER, it doesn't have ribosomes attached to its surface. The smooth ER has several functions, including roles in lipid production, cellular detoxification, and calcium storage. Together, the rough and smooth ER form an interconnected network that helps organize important activities inside the cell. But where do these newly produced molecules go next? Meet the Golgi apparatus. Its job is to modify, sort, and package many proteins and lipids. Think of it as the cell's shipping and distribution center. Molecules arrive from the ER, are processed by the Golgi, and are then directed toward their proper destinations. The Golgi is essential for keeping the cell organized. But every factory needs energy. And that's where the mitochondria come in. These bean-shaped structures are mitochondria. They help convert energy stored in nutrients into ATP, a form of energy that cells can use. For this reason, mitochondria are often described as the cell's energy-producing organelles. Plant cells need energy just as much as animal cells do. Whether the cell is transporting molecules, building proteins, growing, or maintaining its internal environment, energy is required. But plants have another extraordinary organelle for capturing energy. These green structures are chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll, the pigment responsible for much of the green color of plants. They are the main site of photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, plants use light energy along with carbon dioxide and water to produce sugars and release oxygen. In simple terms, chloroplasts allow plants to capture energy from sunlight and convert it into chemical energy. This process is one of the most important biological processes on Earth. But there is still one enormous structure we haven't explored. This large, fluid-filled structure is the central vacuole. The central vacuole can occupy a huge portion of a mature plant cell. It stores water, dissolved substances, nutrients, and waste products. It also helps maintain turgor pressure. When the vacuole contains enough water, it pushes outward against the cell wall and helps keep plant tissues firm. This is one reason why plants can become wilted when they lose too much water. Now look closely at the internal network of fibers. This is the cytoskeleton. It helps maintain the cell's shape and provides tracks and structural support for movement and transport inside the cell. Even though the cell appears like a fixed structure in this illustration, its interior is constantly changing. Molecules and organelles can move through this microscopic environment. These small structures are called peroxisomes. They are involved in several important metabolic reactions. They can help break down fatty acids and participate in processes that deal with potentially harmful substances. In other words, they contribute to the cell's chemical maintenance and protection. Finally, let's return to the cell wall. Here we find tiny channels called plasmodesmata. These microscopic passages connect neighboring plant cells. Through these connections, cells can exchange signals and certain substances. So, even though each plant cell is surrounded by its own boundaries, plant cells are not isolated. They can communicate and work together as a larger network. Now let's bring the entire plant cell back together. The cell wall provides strength. The plasma membrane controls movement in and out. The cytoplasm provides the environment for countless reactions. The nucleus stores genetic information. The nucleolus helps produce ribosome components. Ribosomes build proteins. The ER produces and processes important molecules. The Golgi apparatus sorts and packages them. Mitochondria provide usable energy. Chloroplasts capture sunlight through photosynthesis. The central vacuole stores water and helps maintain pressure. The cytoskeleton provides internal structure and transport pathways. Peroxisomes help with important metabolic reactions. And plasmodesmata allow neighboring cells to communicate. What looks like a tiny microscopic structure is actually an incredibly organized biological system. Every organelle has a role. And together, they allow a plant cell to survive, grow, communicate, and perform the processes that ultimately support an entire plant. So the next time you look at a green leaf, remember. Inside that leaf are countless microscopic worlds. And inside each world, an extraordinary biological machine is constantly working. If you enjoyed this journey inside the plant cell, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because in our next journey, we'll zoom even deeper into the microscopic world and uncover another fascinating secret of biology. Until then, keep exploring, because the smallest worlds often hide the biggest stories.